Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there in the first place? You stand there, looking around, trying to retrace your thoughts, only to give up and go back the way you came. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. It happens to all of us, but it can feel especially frustrating as we get older. Maybe you've noticed names escaping you a little more often, or you find yourself rereading a page because your mind wandered halfway through. It's easy to brush these things off as just aging, but the truth is, our brains, just like our bodies, need regular exercise to stay strong, sharp, and healthy. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. In this video, I want to walk with you through 6 simple, enjoyable mental exercises that can help keep your mind sharp and slow down the natural cognitive changes that come with age. These aren't complicated tasks or boring routines. They're practical, engaging habits you can start weaving into your daily life, often without even changing your schedule. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Because keeping your brain active doesn't have to be a chore, it can actually be a lot of fun. So let's get started with something that's often overlooked, but incredibly powerful: learning something new. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm retired, I've done my time, why do I need to keep learning? But that's exactly the point. When you challenge your brain with unfamiliar information, you're essentially giving it a workout. Think of it like lifting weights, but for your mind. Whether it's picking up a new language, learning to play an instrument, trying a new recipe, or even just exploring a new app on your phone, each of these activities creates new connections in your brain. That's called neuroplasticity. And the more of those connections you build, the better your brain becomes at adapting, remembering, and staying engaged. Let me give you an example. I have a friend named Carol who picked up watercolor painting at 68. She'd never painted in her life. At first, it was just a way to pass the time during quiet afternoons. But what started as a hobby quickly became a daily ritual that not only brought her joy but also gave her brain something new to chew on every single day. She noticed she was remembering things better, felt more focused, and even started sleeping more soundly. That's the beauty of learning: it wakes the brain up and keeps it humming. Now, if painting or learning Spanish doesn't sound like your cup of tea, that's okay. The key is to find something you find interesting, something that makes you curious, that pulls your attention just a little outside your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be academic. It could be a new game, a craft, gardening techniques, or even exploring family history. Curiosity is one of the brain's best fuels. When you follow it, your mind stays active and alert without even realizing it's working. And speaking of games, let's talk about mental challenge number 2, puzzles and strategy games. You might already be doing this without realizing just how beneficial it is. Whether it's crosswords, Sudoku, jigsaw puzzles, or even card games like bridge or solitaire, these types of games give your brain structured, low-stress challenges that sharpen your memory, improve your problem-solving skills, and keep your thinking flexible. Plus, they're fun. There's something satisfying about working through a tricky puzzle and seeing it all come together. Let me tell you about another friend, Jim. He's 74, and every morning with his coffee, he tackles the newspaper crossword puzzle. At first, he said he felt slow and rusty, often needing to look things up. But after a few weeks, he noticed he was completing more of the puzzle on his own. His memory for names and little facts improved, and he even said it made conversations more enjoyable because he was recalling things faster. The act of figuring something out, especially when it doesn't come easy, stimulates the parts of the brain responsible for reasoning and focus. And the best part is, you can find these games almost anywhere, on your phone, in books, or in your local newspaper. Even better, many of these games can be played with others. That brings us to something that adds an extra layer of mental magic: doing these activities socially. If you join a group that plays trivia, bridge, or mahjong, not only are you giving your brain a challenge, but you're also connecting with other people, which is another powerful way to protect your mind. But we'll talk more about that aspect a little later on. For now, just know that keeping your brain sharp doesn't mean spending hours studying or reading textbooks. Sometimes, it's as simple as doing a crossword while you sip your morning tea, or joining a friend for a game night that gets you laughing and thinking. It's not about being the best at it, it's about showing up and letting your brain stretch a little. Just like a good walk keeps your joints moving, these small challenges keep your thinking crisp and your memory on point. Now, once you start giving your brain something new to learn and something puzzling to solve, you're already on the right track. But there's another powerful exercise we don't always think of when it comes to mental sharpness. It's something you've done for years, but maybe haven't done in a while with full attention. It involves memory, but in a more personal, emotional, and even joyful way. It involves memory, but in a more personal, emotional, and even joyful way. I'm talking about reminiscing. Now, that might sound too simple to be a real mental exercise, but don't be fooled. Taking time to reflect on your life stories, to recall names, places, and events in detail is one of the most powerful ways to activate your brain. Think about it. Every time you tell a story from your childhood or describe an old vacation, your brain goes to work pulling together names, faces, smells, even the weather that day. You're drawing from deep memory, using language skills, emotional processing, and mental imagery, all at the same time. And when you share those memories with someone else, it strengthens your social bonds too, which is something science shows can delay cognitive decline more effectively than many medications. I know a couple, Maria and Frank, who do something lovely every Friday night. They sit down after dinner, open up an old photo album, and take turns telling stories about the pictures. Sometimes it's joyful, sometimes bittersweet, but always meaningful. Maria says it helps them remember things they thought were long gone. And interestingly, when they revisit those memories together, new details often bubble up, things neither of them had thought of in years. It's like opening a window to another time, and the brain loves it. So if you have old photo albums, letters, souvenirs, or just a sharp memory, take the time to dive in. Write about your experiences in a journal, record them as voice notes, or tell your grandkids a story they've never heard before. You'll not only keep your memory strong, but you'll be creating a gift for others to hold onto one day. Now, while reminiscing gives your brain a gentle workout, the next mental exercise is all about being in the moment. It's called mindfulness, and before you tune out thinking this is just trendy talk for younger folks, let me explain how it works for our generation. Mindfulness is simply the practice of paying attention. Not just casually, but with intention. It could be paying attention to your breathing, your surroundings, or even your thoughts, without trying to change them, just noticing. Why does this matter? Because when we slow down and become more aware of what we're doing and thinking, the brain stops running on autopilot. Instead of just reacting to things or drifting from one thought to the next, mindfulness brings clarity. It strengthens areas of the brain responsible for focus, emotional control, and memory. You don't need to sit cross-legged on a mat to practice this. You can be mindful while walking, while washing dishes, or while sitting on your porch. Just the act of focusing on how your feet feel against the ground, or listening to the wind in the trees, is enough to bring your attention fully into the present. And that mental stillness? It helps clear the fog, reduce stress, and give your brain space to recharge. Take George, for example. He's 76 and says he used to get overwhelmed easily. Little things like misplacing his keys or forgetting a name would send him into a spiral of worry. But once he started a 5-minute mindfulness practice each morning, just sitting with his coffee and focusing on his breath, he noticed a shift. He became calmer, more patient, and surprisingly, sharper. His mind wasn't racing as much, and he started remembering things more easily. All from 5 quiet minutes a day. If you've never tried it, start simple. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a few slow breaths. Notice how it feels. If your mind wanders, just gently bring it back. That's it. That moment of bringing your mind back? That's the exercise. That's your brain doing a push-up. And now, with your mind actively engaged in the present and connected to your past, let's look at another vital practice, reading. Yes, good old-fashioned reading. Books, newspapers, even well-written articles online, anything that invites you into a story or a subject that captures your attention. Reading isn't just about gathering information, it's a mental journey. It strengthens comprehension, vocabulary, attention span, and imagination all at once. But here's the key: don't rush through it. Read something that makes you pause, reflect, or even reread a sentence because it made you feel something. That's when your brain is truly engaged. And don't be afraid to read out loud, especially if you live alone. It might sound silly, but reading aloud exercises different parts of your brain, especially those related to speech and auditory memory. One of my favorite examples comes from a woman named Dottie, who reads a chapter from her favorite mystery novel aloud every afternoon. She even adds voices for the characters. She says it keeps her entertained, and more importantly, it keeps her mentally awake. It's her little brain boost between lunch and her evening walk. So whether it's fiction, nonfiction, a biography, or even poetry, give your brain a chance to follow a narrative, to imagine scenes, to digest new ideas. Reading is like food for the mind, and just like a healthy meal, it nourishes parts of you that you don't always see right away. These daily practices, reminiscing, being mindful, and reading with intention, may sound simple, but don't underestimate them. They work quietly, steadily, building the kind of mental resilience that lasts. And the best part? They're enjoyable. They bring comfort, connection, and sometimes even a little surprise. After all, isn't it nice to remember something you thought you'd forgotten? Or to feel more present, more centered, without needing to change anything around you? It's about giving your mind the care and attention it deserves. Because your brain is not finished growing, no matter how many birthdays you've celebrated. It still wants to learn, to feel, to think deeply and clearly. It just needs the right kind of invitation. Let's keep going. There's one more powerful mental exercise I'd love to share with you. And it's one that people often underestimate: staying socially connected. Now, this one might surprise you, but regular, meaningful conversation can actually be just as good for your brain as solving a puzzle or learning a new skill. When you talk with someone, really talk, you're doing more than just exchanging words. You're remembering stories, responding to questions, reading facial expressions, interpreting tone, and organizing your thoughts. All of that happens in a matter of seconds, and it lights up multiple areas of your brain at once. That's why people who stay socially active tend to maintain sharper thinking skills and even enjoy better emotional health. I've seen it firsthand. A neighbor of mine, Betty, makes it a point to call her sister every morning. Some days they talk about their plans, some days they share old memories, and other days they just laugh about something silly. But that daily connection keeps her grounded and engaged. She told me once, "I might live alone, but I never feel alone." And that makes a world of difference, not just in how we feel, but in how our brains function. Now, staying connected doesn't mean you need a packed social calendar. It's about quality, not quantity. It could be joining a local book club or a walking group. Maybe it's calling an old friend, talking to your grandchildren, or even chatting with someone at your local coffee shop. These little moments of connection help keep your social muscles strong, and those are deeply tied to cognitive health. And if in-person meetups aren't always possible, technology can be a great bridge. I know it can feel intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of it, video calls, messaging apps, or even social media can help you stay close to the people you care about. If you're not sure where to start, ask a grandchild or neighbor to show you. You might be surprised how easy it becomes, and how much fun it is to see a familiar face, even if it's through a screen. Another way to build both social and mental strength is through volunteering. It gives you a sense of purpose and often brings you into contact with people you might not meet otherwise. Whether it's helping out at a local food pantry, reading to children at a library, or even mentoring younger folks through a community center, these experiences not only help others, they nourish your own mental well-being. And here's something else that's just as important as staying connected with others: staying connected to yourself. One of the best ways to do this is through journaling. Writing down your thoughts, even for just 5 or 10 minutes a day, helps you process your emotions, reflect on your experiences, and strengthen your memory. When you write by hand, your brain has to slow down and engage more deeply, which improves focus and recall. You don't need to write long, elegant paragraphs. A few sentences about what you did today, what made you smile, or something you're grateful for can go a long way. And over time, those small entries become a record of your life, a treasure for you and maybe even for your family someday. It's also a great way to notice patterns. Maybe you sleep better on days you go for a walk, or feel more energized after talking with a friend. You start to learn more about yourself, and that kind of self-awareness strengthens mental resilience. Think of your mind like a garden. You need to water it regularly with new ideas, prune the weeds of stress and anxiety, and let it breathe with rest and reflection. And perhaps most importantly, you need to keep planting seeds of joy, of curiosity, of kindness. Over time, those seeds grow into something beautiful, a mind that remains alive, engaged, and capable, no matter your age. So let's take a moment to look at the ground we've covered today. You've seen how learning something new can create fresh connections in your brain, how games and puzzles build problem-solving strength, how reminiscing can awaken powerful memories, and how mindfulness brings calm and clarity to your thinking. You've explored how reading opens up entire worlds in your imagination and how staying socially connected helps keep your brain vibrant and resilient. These aren't just nice ideas, they're real, practical steps that you can take every day, right from where you are, without needing expensive tools or fancy programs. And the best part? You don't need to do them all at once. Just start with one. Pick something that excites you. Maybe it's calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Or setting aside 10 minutes in the morning to read something inspiring. Maybe you'll take a walk and try to notice 5 things you've never paid attention to before. Small steps like these add up to big changes over time. The brain loves attention, challenge, and care, and when you give it those things, it responds. You don't have to settle for foggy thinking or forgetfulness. With a little consistency, your mind can feel clearer, more focused, and more alive than it has in years. Remember, aging doesn't mean fading away. It means having more time to explore, more wisdom to draw from, and more freedom to do what matters. You've lived through so many chapters, now is the time to write the next one with intention, joy, and curiosity. If you found this helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What mental exercise do you enjoy the most? Or which one are you excited to try? Let's learn from each other. We all have something valuable to share. Don't forget to like this video if it brought you value, and subscribe for more content that supports your journey to staying strong, healthy, and happy at every age. Here's to living your best life, with a mind as sharp and bright as ever. You've got this.